For my lesson plan, I chose to do a lesson over graphing that goes along with the Missouri Learning Standards. This lesson will allow students the opportunity to practice making graphs and using the information from the graphs to answer questions and interpret data. Making graphs and interpreting data has been a struggle for some of the students. I hope to clear things up for those who struggle with graphing. This lesson will also help get my students ready for the state-required test. I have two content objectives I will be focusing on throughout the lesson. I will be teaching my lesson to a small group of 3 students. Each one has a learning disability and one student has health problems and has difficulty sitting and walking. All 3 students require speech and language services. One of the students has a hard time speaking and getting out what she wants to say. Content objective number 1. Students will be able to make a graph with the information provided. Content objective number 2. Students will be able to correctly use a graph to answer questions. I will start my lesson off by accessing prior knowledge. To do this, I will talk about how we made graphs in science and use them to answer questions. Then I will show a BrainPop Jr. video on graphing, and then we will answer the quiz that follows. I like showing BrainPop Jr. videos because they have good information and the kids find them funny. I also like their review questions at the end of the videos. For guided practice, we will play a vocabulary matching game. I like using matching games because it helps strengthen the student's memory, works on their recalling information, and is a fun way to learn vocabulary. Then students will make their own 3D graph with Unifix cubes. I chose Unifix cubes because they are easy to manipulate, and when you stack them together, they give you a really good visual effect. As you can see, here's my graph, and you can see how you can pull them apart, put them together, rearrange them, do whatever you need to do to make a graph. To get the data, I will have them sort out Fruit Loops by color. Fruit Loops come in a variety of colors and make for a good tasting data. Each person will get to sort a color, and then they will get to put the number of Fruit Loops on the data table I created on the smartboard. When we have determined that the data is correct, students will work on making their own 3D graph with the Unifix cubes. After creating and checking their graphs, I will show them some graphing games on the smartboard, and we will work together to answer the problems. One of the games helps them to have to use information. With the information, they then get to help make and complete a graph. I like how hands-on it is, and it also will read the student information to them for those who struggle with reading. The other game makes the student have to use the mouse to collect data and put it in a tube with the correct color. This way they can work on making a data table and collecting the data. It's good for working on hand-eye coordination as well and understanding how to sort the data and information. Then for their independent practice, they will create their own graph on graph paper with Starburst. I chose Starburst because they are easy to fit in a box on the graph paper, and they come in a variety of colors and are easy to sort. So this is what my graph looks like with the Starburst. You can see how easily they fit into each box. And I have the axes labeled for them. Students can also play one of the graph games on the tablet or a computer. This lesson will benefit and impact my students by allowing them to review what graphs are, what they're used for, how to sort out data, and create their own graphs. Students will hopefully become more comfortable with graphing process. I believe that hands-on activities and accommodations and modifications that I've made throughout the lesson will show good results when it comes to assessing my students on graphing. I've found through experience that more hands-on activities we do, the more focused and on task students seem to be during the lesson. I've also seen this to be true in assessing my students after lessons, that they have a better grasp of the material than when I just lecture to them and give them worksheets to work on by themselves. Most of the time they become frustrated and learning doesn't happen. Also, my students love doing activities that are hands-on, and they enjoy learning through being able to use their hands, being active, and working in groups or with pairs. This includes my presentation and reflection of my lesson plan over graphing.